Hello, folks. I am back, and it is May 15, 2022, and it is my birthday. I am really having a lot of fun with the two firearms that I picked up for my birthday. The one being the Valor V-Bob, and the other one being the CZ TS2. And I'm really having fun with those, loving those. They're going to be some more videos with those firearms. But in the meantime, I like to do an update to a video that I did some time ago. It got a lot of views, some controversy, a lot of comments, and it was one of my biggest videos ever. It was the video that said the top three firearms that were traded in. And I just want to give an update of what I see on what when I'm over the counter selling firearms or working on the range. So I want to let you see what I feel is the update of what's going on from since I did that video. Let's start with the Sig Sauer P365. I want to show clear on this for the YouTube gods. And if you notice there's no magazine in place of this, is because this is one of my main carry firearms that I'm using right now. Now, there was no functional problems with the P365. Why people were trading them in. The problem was when people had this firearm is it was a lot of guys that had big hands, and the guys that had big hands were not comfortable with this firearm, and therefore they ended up trading this firearm in. There was nothing wrong with this firearm, like I said, but they traded in because of their hand size. The one that gets traded in probably the most because of one of the features is the SAS version, is where the sight is embedded right into the slide. So that's understandable on that trading, but a lot of people have traded this in. And like I said, it's hand size related. If you're purchasing a firearm, it has to be good in your hands for you to really stick with that firearm. Since then, the P365 has picked up a lot of traction. A lot of people are buying them, and there are a lot of different variants of the P365 now. You have the XL, you have the Spectre versions, and they are really picking up steam. I'm just going to say Sig Sauer hit the gold mine with this firearm. I just think that it depends on the individual shooter who would like this firearm. And a lot of people compare this to the Hellcat. I'm not a fan of the Hellcat. I don't like the way it feels in my hand. The biggest thing I don't like about the Hellcat is the trigger. People may complain about the sponginess of the trigger on the P365s, but to me, it's just right. Then you got the take up, you pull back a little sponge, and then there's a crisp break right in there. So I have no problems with it. Very accurate firearm, and I believe it's still picking up traction. So that's just a quick update on that one. Let's go now to the Emissary. The Emissary has a few things going on with it. Okay, nothing mechanically wrong with the Emissary. I'm going to show clear on this one. It is dirty because I shoot this a lot. I need to shoot a little bit more, doing some more testing and so forth. So the thing about the Emissary is it's in the category you either love it or you hate it. And I think the reason why is because a lot of people don't like these grips on the side. And I think these grips make a lot of sense. A lot of people are trading trading the grips in for, I guess, lock grips. I think lock grips make a different pattern or something that will keep some of the masses happy with it. So some people think the grips are too thin. Some people just don't like it because it's over modernized for some people. It's not like a traditional 1911. You have your tri-top here. You have your front serrations, which people debate whether this is a front serration for press checks or not. It depends on your feeling about it. Some people don't like the square trigger guard. It makes for a little bit of a challenge for holsters at some point. QVO Tactical has a way of helping you out with that. Also, And like I was saying, a lot of people don't like this polymer trigger right here. Some people think that's a cheap trigger, or they're not happy with that polymer trigger, even though people use Striker Fire firearms and they're polymer triggers, but it's something about a 1911 that should not have a polymer trigger. So the Emissary has its growing pains. I've seen some of these are still getting traded in for whatever reason. Uh, I don't get it. I think the firearm is really unique, especially when you. And my favorite feature about this is the bull barrel. I really like the way this barrel is. It helps with accuracy, but there are some people that are not going to be happy with certain features, and that's their prerogative. Uh, I and since I'm doing this, Such Double O, he just put out a new video on the new emissary, the emissary that's in 9 millimeter. And I think what's going on with 1911s are right now, people are starting to abandon the 1911s and 45 ACP. So more 1911s are starting to come out with in 9 millimeter. It may be heresy to a lot of people, but I see a new market in that. Right now, I'm down to two 1911s that are in 9 millimeter, and there are a joy to shoot. But and I think that may help the emissary out in sales for those people that are in restricted states or just want to get into the 1911 game. I think the emissary in 9 millimeter might kind of resurrect or save this firearm from being discontinued. So we're just going to have to sit back and see what's going to happen with that. Like I said, the emissary is a great firearm, but it's going to be a wait and see once it see that 9 millimeter version of the emissary. It's going to be in a commander size. I forgot to mention that. So it's going to be in a commander size. It's not going to be the long size. And that commander size was going to be great for people for concealed carry. So we'll see how that goes. And last but not least is going to be the PDP. Now, before you think I'm changing my original thoughts, because I did a couple videos about how I felt about the PDP, I'm going to stick to my guns. A lot of people might not like what I'm going to say, but I think it was the most overhyped gun I've ever seen. It was very overhyped, but let's just say this: it is a very good firearm. It shoots very accurately. It has no malfunction, so it's highly reliable. I think a couple of the issues that came out with that, a lot of people complained about the sights. They came out with plastic sights. I replaced the sights. They had issues with the plates. The plates, I had originally a plate from Walther that cracked. There were other stories about plate cracking or screws or whatever, and there was some controversy with a guy saying that it was not mechanically a sound platform, and that was from another video. So he caught a lot of heat and so forth. Some people could not get over some of the aesthetics, similar to the emissary, how wide this is at the top with these serrations here. One of the other things is how light it is. It is very light. Once you pick these up compared to a Glock or P10F or whatnot, the way it feels very light. And because of that, a lot of different aftermarket companies started inventing certain things to increase the weight, such as the backstrap here. They have a brass version that backstrap that can hook into here once you take this backstrap off. Tungsten guide rods. Everybody is trying to weight this firearm down for this to be a better shooter for them. One of the other things is this is a duty trigger. Now, the the trigger is supposed to be touted as a duty trigger because they're trying to get into the law enforcement market. I understand that. I get that. I was in law enforcement. It makes a lot of sense on a liability end. So you have your take up here, and a little mush there, and then you get a clean break. To me, my original PPQ trigger is a lot better than this one. They say this is an improvement, but for me, the PPQ trigger is better. But recently, I bumped into a gentleman that had the aftermarket trigger. Not well, it's an official Walther part, but it's the Walther trigger. That trigger was in his. He let me shoot it. The firearm shot outstanding, and that's the trigger that they should have had um, in this PDP. So yes, I'm sticking to my guns to what I'm saying, but you add that trigger in there, all is forgiven. But yeah, it's a very, very, very reliable firearm. And I'm not, and when I say these things about the PDP, about I think it was overhyped, yeah, it's a good firearm, exactly. Matter of fact, this firearm is in my carry rotation. This is the only firearm that I carry with an optic on it. I feel comfortable with this firearm with with an optic on it. Um, this is one of the firearms I use when I'm in the shop, that I use at the shop and practice with. So with that said, I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of an update on that particular video to let them know that how I feel about these firearms ever since the video about saying the top three that are traded in. It, sometimes people go through different phases. There are phases where people, they're in a rush to buy it. Then they get overwhelmed from not shooting the firearm with shooting the firearm when we have rentals available, and it's the best way to go is to go with rentals, not to just jump on the firearm once it's out there and you want to jump on it and grab it and shoot it, and then next thing you know, you you're not happy with it, you're not enamored with it, and then you want to get rid of that firearm. So I would just tell people, when a new firearm comes out, take it slow, try to get a rental of it, and just don't jump into it too quickly, or else some of the things, what will happen is the firearms will be pretty much traded in. You don't want to do that. Don't go with hype. And for some people like myself that are older, we are traditionalists. We like certain things to be standard. I'm a little bold, especially with 1911s. I like to see different features put on it, but it still has to have its classic reliability and looks and feel. Um, uh, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with the new 9mm commander size emissary. Like I said, I really love this firearm. I want to see this firearm being bought more uh, by the consumers, but a lot of people are just kind of like a little leery. So if you see the 45 version or 9mm version, I'm just going to endorse it and say, go for it. All right, with that said, happy shooting, stay safe, hashtag 2A.